Guys,
Typical in every department. Okay.
okay, so maybe we can just continue our conversation during lunchtime. So let me go back to what we stopped yesterday. So firstly, I just want to show you guys like this article from the tidyverse. So if the first line in your R script is something like set WD user Jenny part that I have. So I will come into your office and set your computer on fire. Okay, so that what I mentioned yesterday, you have your own part in your computer with your username. So don't put that and then send that script to me. It never works, right, on my computer. So yeah, this one is really interesting. So they actually recommend another package where you can apply, they call it like here package. But I'm not going to like go to detail, but this is just like very interesting example of the setWD. And the other things that I want to show you guys, so I like this book. This is, let's see. So this book is like R for data science. It's like free book, and it's really good one, written by Harley Wickham, and he wrote everything about like introduction to R, very basic thing, and all of like data import, tidy data, factors, date and times, and functions, vector, and also data visualization. So I personally really like this book. You can just use this link. I think I put it here. And
I just put it at the bottom.
oh yeah, thank you. And another book. So this one is like fundamentals of data visualization. What we are going to cover today with ggplot2. So do you know him, Kenvin? Okay, so this is actually one of the professors at our university, and I took his bioinformatics class, and he wrote data visualization book. This one is also free. Yeah, so this is like very basic and a lot of information about visualization using ggplot2. So if you have to do a lot of like graphs for your paper, then you're gonna, maybe you can check it out. And the other thing, another link that you can use, which is very helpful, they call it like RStudio cheat sheets. So basically with this website, you can go to this website and download a lot of like, for example, I just click here. So it's like very colorful and very useful cheat sheet that whenever you want to check like if what kind of function you want to use. So it's not only like data frame, or they also have like, you can see here like very basic about data visualization. So it's really, really useful. So for example, like, let me see. What we are going to cover today is like manipulation of the data frame using like dplyr and tidyr. So basically, what they can do is like maybe tidy data and how to subset the rows and how to subset the columns and how to reshape the data frame. And it's like a lot of function like summarized and group the data. So I'm going to cover it in detail in the next session. So this is like very quick introduction. Okay. And the other link that maybe we can use is RStudio shortcuts. So there's a lot of shortcuts that we can use here in different systems like Mac and Windows and Linux. I apologize, maybe I should put it like yesterday. So maybe you can use it, but
And you can also get here from RStudio.
yeah,
If
maybe you
do
can write down.
Control K. Oh, that's the wrong button. What is it? It's Alt Shift K, or Option Shift K, and it brings up the shortcut quick reference.
Yeah.
And then if you want the long reference up in the top right, there's the CL shortcuts link.
Yeah, I think this one is very useful, like in RStudio. So it's what is that? Option Shift K
Option Shift K.
or
Or
R
Alt
Shift K.
The one right next to the space bar.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go back to yesterday where I think we stopped at the factors, right? Yeah, so I think we stopped at like string as factors yesterday. Okay, so what we're going to do is maybe we just go back and load our surveys data frame yesterday. And it's better to use structure. So str surveys. So our data frames surveys, you can see here like how many observations and how many variables you have, right? And then what kind of like vector you have here, for example, record ID, month, day, year, plot. So this is like integers data type, vector types. And also you have another like factor, for example, species ID, sex, genus, species. So they're all factors here. So factor is another type of data type in R. So we have, yesterday we covered like vector and data frame, right? So today we are going to go like factor, which is another data type in R. This is really important because so factor is really useful, and also for something like when you want to make the model or regression or statistical analysis, you need factor. And also in ggplot2, you will see like why we need to convert some kind of like vector into factor. So how the factor looks like. So this is just another very simple example of the factor. So I have factor here, and I have, so this factor have, let's see, another female and male. I forgot this one. Okay. And we call sec. So you can see here, this is example of the factor. So the factor data types, basically, you see like it looks exactly like character vector, right? You see like female, male, and female and male. But one of the difference is in the factor you have the levels. So for example, another data type of the factor is like the block type. So block type you have like A, B, or O. So basically, it's different from the character and the numerical vector, because numerical vector you have like a lot of values for the vector. But in the factor you have like very limited number of the values. So they use like as a levels. So we can check the level of factor by using level function and put the factor here. So the level has only two levels, female and male. So when you use levels of the factor data types, R will automatically treat it as a alphabetical order. So that's why you have female and male. And you can check the number of the level of the factor by using n level. So there are two levels here. Okay, n levels. Okay, so as I mentioned before, basically it looks exactly same as a character vector, but it's not. Are treated as the factor as an integral vector actually. So they would define, for example, you have male, female, female, and male. So they would define, for example, male will be 1, female will be 2, something like that. So for example, sometimes you need to convert factor into character, right? So you can use as character and put the factor here. So now it will become like character. So let's take another example of the factor. Maybe we can create another factor called year. And using factor function to create the factor. So similarly to the sex factor, you can use C and then add the value. For example, 190, 1983, 1997, 1998, and another 1990. So this is another example of the factor. So you see this is the number, right? But basically this is the factor. So year is like another data type. So now you want to convert the numerical vector into, convert that into numerical vector. So similar here, if you want to convert factor into character, you can use as character. So in this case, can we use as numeric? What happened? If you use as numeric and year, 32143. It's not gonna work with as dot numeric, right? Because in factor, every value will be treated as a character, right? So now, before convert into the numeric, you have to convert the factor level into character first. So you have to put as character first and apply to the year. And then after that, you have to apply as numeric to this. This is gonna work, right? Yeah, it's a little bit complicated. So in this factor, you have to convert the factor into character first. And then after that, it convert the character into the number. Another way to convert into the number by using levels. So if you remember last time we used levels and we used year, right? So you can convert the level into the number by using levels. And now you use as numeric here. and levels. Okay, one more step. So in this case, firstly, you convert the levels of this factor, and then you convert into the number of values using S numeric. And then after that, you want to access all of these values by using square brackets and apply to this vector. Let's remove this. So this is the first way that you can do, convert into character and then convert to the number. And the second way is like you assess the levels of the factor and then convert into the number. And then after that, you want to assess this value. So these are two ways that you can convert factor into the number. And this is the way that you can convert factor into character. So basically, like for example, S dot character, S dot numeric. Okay. Okay. So we are going to do like more interesting thing. It's called like renaming factor. So sometimes you want to rename the factor in that data type. For example, here we have, you can see like male and female, right? And if you see, let's go. This survey is data frame. We have the sex is like M and F. So basically it's male and female. But sometimes it's kind of like confusing, so you want to change like male and female. And also you can see like sometimes there's blank here. So we can do like very basic plot to see like the number of the observation for each levels of the data frame. So you can do like plot, and now we have surveys data frame, right? And $sign, if you remember. So $sign you can get into different columns of the data frame. So now we are going to plot how many observations for each different levels in the sex. It's going here. So this is where you can see. So this is how the plot look like. So you have like, this is blank. I guess it's like 700 individual without, it's like undetermined or without any information. And female and male. So now you want to maybe rename this factor and also rename female and rename male. So one way we can do is, so let's see. You have to use the level. So when you use the level 6, you can check like how many levels in that factors, right? So you can see here. So it should be like surveys and sex. Survey $sign 6, because we are going to use the sex column in surveys database, not the sex factor that we just created last time. So there are 3 different levels here, right? The first one is blank, and the second one is F and M. So we can change it. Actually, let me create another object called sex again. And we are going to use only sex column. So you can assign and create the new objects called sex and extract only the sex columns from surveys data frame. So maybe it's better for us to use for the next step. So now you can apply level again to the sex. And now you have the same number of the levels, right? So now what we are going to do is change the name of this blank. So we can say levels sorry, levels 6. And do you remember how we can access to the vector? If you want to subset or extract maybe the first value, square bracket, right? So if you want to access the first value in the vector, you can use number 1. And you want to change this into something like maybe undetermined. So can we use that without the quotation mark? No, right? So we have to use a string here, or character, okay? So now we check against the level of the 6 vector. Now you see undetermined f and m. So we already changed the first value or the first factor in that 6 into undetermined. And so now what we are going to do is rename the f and m into something like maybe easier to read. And maybe you can try to plot again. So what we can use is using the same one, levels and 6, right? And now you want to extract the number 2 and 3. And you want to change it into, so in this case you have to use C because you have the list, right? So whenever you have the list, you have to use C. And now you want to change the first one, F into female, right? And M into male. So this is how it works. So let's check again the level of this. So now it become like undetermined female and male. Okay, so this is like how you can change. For example, you have one vector and then you want to change the name of the characters or the values in that vector. Okay, so that's basically the factors, and we're gonna see another example of the factors in ggplot2. And I just want to go very quickly. So you see, like most of the time we get the data frame by importing the file. So you have already like CSV file, but sometimes you can also create the data frame by your own in R. So basically we use data.frame. So for example, you want to create another data frame like animals, right? So you are going to use data.frame. Okay. And what we have to use, for example, you are creating different columns and different rows. So the first thing is the name of the columns. For example, the first column may be animal name. So you can put something like, make sure that you put C because you have the list of the values. For example, like dog, cat, maybe red. Okay. And next line is the second column. So you can say maybe weight, right? So similarly, you can put like maybe 45, 8 or 9, 10, no, maybe 90. Makes more sense. Okay. And another closed parenthesis. It works now, right? So now you can call animals data frames to see how it looks. So this is my data frame. So there are two variables, animal name and the weight. And there are 4 different rows here for different observation. So this is also like very simple data frame. And this is how you can create your own data frame. But I guess most of the time we are going to use with like very large data frame. Okay, so I think the last part for this section is formatting the data, which I think maybe sometimes we need to use this because some data frame we have a lot of information about date and time. So basically, let's check the survey's data frame. So you can see here, like this is like very good example of the good data. They have like month, day, and year. So each will be like different variables, right? But as you remember from yesterday, we have like very messy data. So they have the date, like it's not separated into different variable or different columns. But in this case, this is very good example of the clear data. So we are going to use one of the function with dating and timing. So this library they called library date. So this is the name of the library. And if you want to load any library in R, you can use library. Oops. So this is how you can load specific library in R. So sometimes for specific function, you are going to use different library. So when you close R, and then if you want to use the library again, you have to load the library again. Okay. So this is how you can load the library. But before that, another thing we need to do, sometimes you didn't install the package. So if you load the library, it's gonna have, oh, for me it's okay because I already have the package, but maybe you guys have the problem, error, right?
I have an error, yeah.
Because this library is coming with a tidyverse package. So you need to install the tidyverse package first. So you can use install package. Install Dodge package, and then you put tidyverse. And then oops. Maybe I'm not going to run it. I already had it. So you guys can run it, and then it's going to install in your computer.
Wow.
Will be very fast.
It's just going. That's a lateral.
Yeah. So after install the tidyverse package, you can now load the library. And it works. So tidyverse, you are going to use tidyverse a lot with like ggplot to deploy your tidyr. So this is really powerful package. Sometimes, I can't remember exactly, but sometimes when you load the library, sometimes it will show up. But sometimes if I don't know exactly, I just Google it. And
Okay. So it won't tell you what is needed. I'm going to have to look for it.
yeah.
And it'll, so this is using what's, if you go to, look up CRAN, C-R-A-N.
The website, the R website.
The Comprehensive Archive Network. And they do a pretty dang good job at doing that dependency. And software that's known as dependency management, and they do a pretty good job. I had to install some stuff on Linux, but you always have to do that.
I think they have the list. Do they have the list of the?
Of all the packages?
They have the list of the all packages. I think we have it here, but I don't know whether they have like the list of all the library belong to the package.
Yes. So if you go to, like if we go to CRAN, and then I guess pull up tidyverse. And so tidyverse, if you look at the CRAN webpage for it.
Yeah, but that's basically. But that's basically like if you know specific package already, right?
Like if you put the cram or
Lubri date,
Ruby date,
then would show up like
another
which.
different package, which
Yeah.
is the package called Ruby date, but it's probably not the one we want to use here.
No, this is, well, this one is like, this Lubridate package that you look up on CRAN is the same one that we just downloaded.
Oh, okay.
It just is, because this is like a repository of software that the R Foundation and R project distributes with R. And this is all stuff that's made by the community. So if you look like at the CRAN page for the tidyverse, it'll have the imports.
Yeah, this is what we are seeing here. Like what kind of like library that tidyverse package can cover, like dplyr or ggplot2, Lubridate here, Margaret, and the other one. But the questions, sometimes I just Google it and then it will show up like in the CRAN website. So you put like the name of the library and package in R. So they will show up in the CRAN website and then go into, they will show you like specifically, for example, detail how you can use, yeah, like.
And if you look at the reference manual, because every R CRAN package will
Yeah,
have a
exactly.
reference manual, which has a lot of example code.
So
that
this
you
is
can
like
copy
very
and paste in
detailed.
and yeah.
Like how you gonna use that one.
This is why R. Like,
A lot of information. And you just need to know that they have that package for you to use. So this is example of tidyverse.
And that is the PDF.
Yeah, this is PDF. Okay.
and yes, it's overwhelming, but
But you still have a lot of time to.
roll into the frustration.
So, okay. Are you okay with loading the library? Okay. So what we are going to use a Lubridate package today is a little bit different from yesterday. So yesterday you have kind of like one single date and then you want to divide it into like month, date, and year. So today we are going to use the opposite way. Okay, so for example, you have, I'm going to create another. So for example, you have the date like this, right? So I have to treat it as a string. So what if you want to separate it into year, month, and date? And day, sorry. So we are going to use YMD function. in the library date library, and let's say this is my date. And run it. So now let's check the structure of of my date objects. So this is a date, and the format is like this. So basically, YMD takes a vector representing year, month, and day, and then convert it into the date vector. So you want to create, so for example, you have 3 different columns, year, month, and day, and then you want to create a new column, means date. Then you can use YMD, and then take the value of 3 different columns into the new columns. So what we are going to use is using the YMD again. And so in this case, we have to use paste, because if you want to use separated value, something like this, and you have 1, another 1. So this is kind of like separated values, right? So you have to use paste to combine these 3 variables. So paste means like kind of like adding or combining. And you want to use separation equal to dash, another dash. So let's call this is another my date. And let's see how it looks. And call my date again. So this is how you can create the date vector using 3 different columns, and you have to put separation, like how you want to separate the date. Okay, so what we are going to use is, so let's go back to the surveys data frame, and we have month, day, and year. So we are going to create a new columns called date, and then you are going to combine these 3 variables and put into the new columns called date using the YMD paste. Yeah.
Press Control Enter, it takes me right back up to the top, like the very first thing I typed in here.
Control Enter.
To run it.
Control Enter. Let me see.
See, like I'm right here. When I press Control Enter, it takes me right back up to the beginning, which is weird.
So you put here and Control Enter.
Pardon me?
Control Enter. Just run it. So
Now that stops it.
yeah, because you have to run at the end of the command.
I see.
Okay. So what we are going to use is we apply this function into our surveys data set, and using year, month, and day columns of the surveys data set, and create the new columns called date. So what we are going to use is, so we are going to use YMD and paste, right? So now what we have to use is surveys data frame, and we are going to use maybe the first one is year, right? And then the second column is a month, and the third column is day. So remember, we use a dollar sign to extract the columns from that data frames. So we have year, month, and day here, and we still need separation, right? So let's use another dash here. So now I want to create the new columns. So basically you can create the new columns using surveys and another dollar sign. So let's see, in this case you don't have any date column, right? But if you just put here, they're gonna create another date column in the surveys data frame. So let's assign this to this function. And we are going to run it. So now how you can check the new data frame? Any idea? Structures. So now you have date here, right? So this is a new columns that we just created, and the type is the date. Type of the vector is date, and the format is here.
I have a question. Is there an undo bottom? Undo? Like the
What did you ask? Undo?
like
Undo bottoms.
stay?
Oh, you just run it again.
Does pressing the home key do something to the font?
I don't think so.
One for Nexus, I pressed the home key to start at the beginning. Now when I press my control enter, it's going right back up to the top. Before it wasn't doing that. Even yesterday, it didn't do this. Because now I'm pressing that, nothing is happening. It keeps going right back.
So the reason is if you put the, so for example, I just show you, you have to put at the end of the command line.
Yesterday, those were there. It didn't even affect it.
Wow, okay, then I have no idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm just saying.
So in R, you don't need to worry about undo. You can just run it again. And one thing is, if you don't want to mess with the original data, it's better to make, for example, I want to use with only one column. You just extract that column and then work with that column. So without affecting any like original data frame. But it's pretty safe. So it's not like Excel. So I had a lot of trouble with Excel when you kind of like mistakenly delete one column and you have to redo it. But in R, it's pretty safe. Oh,
I mean, it's only 129 out of like 30,000.
so one thing that we can do,
Yeah. Did you fix it? Well, she was trying to look at, it seems like,
we are going to cover it right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So let's do summary. Some people has the error, right? So let's do summary of our new vector surveys and days to see. So you can see like a lot of NA missing value here, like 129. So this is the error because it cannot convert into the date. So we can see like what's going on here by using, so basically what we did is like convert year, month, and day into date. So if the values doesn't make sense to date, then it's going to be error. So what we're going to use, let's say, we are going to extract all of the NA value in the date columns to see how it looks. So for example, I'm creating like it's missing date, and then I'm going to assign it with is-NA, if you remember. So we extract all of the NA value missing value in surveys $ date. Okay. And now we are going to extract what is the month, what is the year, and what is the day from that NA value. Basically, they still have all the values for year, month, and day, but it just like cannot combine into date. So that's why. So let's create the column. And then we can create like 3 different columns: year, month, and day. Yeah, I'm going to explain why we need to use this. So now we are going to create a new data frame called missing date. And this data frame will have one column will be like our missing date here. So let's see, you have to put surveys square bracket, right? So square bracket, and we put is missing date, what we created here, which is like all of the date with the missing value. And then we are going to put date columns here. You will see why we have to use this. Okay, let's run it. So let's see how it looks. We can check maybe using head of missing date, right? So it will pull out first line of this data frame. Okay. So why it has the arrow? Let's see, 31st of April. Yeah, that's why we have the arrow. Okay, so actually we still have a lot of stuff we can do with loop redate. And also I think there's one question like how we can, you figure it out?
Yeah. It feels good, right? Yeah.
Okay. So that's basically like formatting dates, and basically we can still do a lot of stuff with this, but we are not going to cover all of the stuff about like formatting dates today. And another question is like some people ask me how we can separate the date into month, year, and day. So we have another way to do that, and I'm going to maybe just send you how we can do that way, because sometimes people need to do that in the opposite way. Okay, so we are going to go to like manipulating data frame, and then after that take a break and then go back to like ggplot2. So let's start with the data manipulation. Okay, so basically data manipulation is kind of like very powerful function where you can apply. For example, some people ask me like how you can select specific characters. For example, you want to just select male or just select female or just select like specific columns in that data frame and pull out that vectors and then apply kind of like analysis with that variables. So tidyverse has another two packages called dplyr and tidyr. So dplyr is one of the packages that you can use. For example, you can do select or filter, or sometimes you can do like group by and do kind of like statistics summarize. And another package called tidyr. So tidyr is something like you can, let me show you here. So for example, this is like where you can use tidyr. So you have this data frame and you want to convert or reshape the data frame. For example, in the genus, you want to have like different columns for different genus. So this is like where you can use tidyr to reshape the data frame. So basically, this section we are going to go over dplyr and tidyr. Okay. So let's start with the dplyr first. So what we have to do is you have to load the library. So you have to load dplyr, which is here, library dplyr. And library tidyr as well. Okay, so in this section, we're still going to use like surveys data frame, but I'm going to show you guys like different way to read the CSV file using another package. They call like readr in tidyverse package. So previously we used like read as .csv, right? But now we are going to use read underscore CSV. I'm gonna show you guys like what's the difference. So let's say this is another survey assigned to read underscore CSV, and you have to show where you have your data frame. So I put in my data directory, and this is the name of the file. And run it. Okay, so now we can say maybe views survey. Oops. Sorry, without S. To see whether it's like it's loaded successfully or not. And let's see the structure of surveys.
Yeah, comment that's a function.
The read CSV is one thing.
For a few of them.
Read.csv.
The read underscore CSV. It says error hidden kind function.
Did you try to load the library tidyverse?
Tidyr or tidy?
Tidyverse. Let's see. I think that's the problem. Library tidyverse.
Hey, it works that time.
Right. So
Okay.
so basically, yeah, I forgot that readr belongs to tidyverse package. So you have to load the tidyverse package first.
Got it.
Or it's also